Well, I want to give a update on gold. I say this: do not trust Jim Rogers on gold. Don't trust him. He's not telling you what he's doing. Anybody who makes a lot of money does never, ever blabs to the world what they're doing. Matter of fact, they talk. It's all disinformation. They're throwing wingers in there, man. I know what he's talking about at gold, and I've been watching some, and I know the major media is playing in a certain way. And it could be that it stays down a while, because I'm not some like Karnak the magician, but I think there's more troubles brewing someplace that's going to drive up gold. It doesn't even have to be the Middle East. It could be problems with the governments where they're problems meeting debt obligations, or the bond market's imploding right now. You heard about that with Bill Gross and PIMCO. They're having the worst years in 2008. I mean, it could actually change around for very quickly. Don't trust what he's saying. And similarly, don't trust Peter Schiff either, because that guy's in the business of being a broker and selling books. Trust the advice of Zimbabwe victims to bad fiscal policy, because the only damn thing they bought food with was little bits of gold, right? That's what it came down to. You can't eat gold, but what they were buying food with in Zimbabwe when the whole thing fell down was gold. You could trust that. So, it ain't exactly a get-rich scheme. It could be, maybe. If you got, I notice people probably watching my channel, they're probably more invested in precious metals than most people. And you probably, if you can hang on through the bad times, you're probably going to freaking fly and do extremely well. But don't trust what Jim Rogers is saying. I know what he's saying, like with the mines, they can close down, and they're not going to necessarily close all the mines, because it costs a lot of money to close all the mines, and they know it costs a lot of money to open them back up. So they're waiting. But, that has nothing to really, what's going on in the mines doesn't really have to do with what's going on in the world. The reason I think gold and silver are going to go up is due to panic in other areas of the financial markets that people are going to try to run to some kind of safety. I think there is going to be a loss. In other words, all this bullshit that Ben Bernanke's talking about, taper, that's a fake out. There is not going to be any taper. The whole thing just falls apart even when he talks about taper. The only thing that's holding up any of the markets across the world is QE. QE is bringing up the stock markets. It's not helping anybody in the middle class, but it's helping people own a lot of stocks. But, as the other thing is, they're never going to be able to raise interest rates, because more and more government, it's just really simple 101. But, just keep your eye on the ball, because simple 101 is what's going to freaking get you through the mess. They're not going to be able to raise interest rates because the debt's too high in the governments. If they raise interest rates, that takes up their whole budget just paying interest. They can't do it. The other thing is, when you raise, this is another thing. I don't know how common, it's very common to me. But when you see these huge business loans, like, how, like when a person takes out a mortgage, they got a fixed rate. They can get a fixed rate sometimes. Or, a lot of people do, but businesses pretty much don't get fixed rates. It's like LIBOR plus something or prime plus something. So if a business has out this revolver for, I don't know, it's a max of $190 million or whatever it is, and up to a total of $350 million or whatever it is, they'll say the loan is LIBOR plus this or prime plus this. So if the rates go up, instead of them paying like, $12,000 in interest a month, they're paying $20,000 in interest a month, or some crazy amount like that. That really starts eating into them when the interest rates go up a lot. It does. It slows stuff down, because then they got to cut everywhere else to pay the interest for these damn loans. And every big business has lots of big loans out. All of them do. So that really, really affects the economy a lot, a great deal. And it's actually, you can see that a lot. It's in the construction and real estate industries, and that is literally about 50% of the economy. So if they raise interest rates and the economy isn't doing that great, despite what they say, they're really going to kill it. So they're not going to do that either. This is one reason, money printing and keeping interest rates low, where you're not going to have, you're not going to get return by just holding on to cash. That causes people to start going into other assets. They might say they're speculative assets or whatever, but gold is more than a speculative asset. Jim Rogers talks different ways for the situation. If gold right now was making a high of $2,000 an ounce, he'd be saying, well, yeah, I got gold and I'm holding on. He's just talking it up. You do not know what that guy's doing. Just like with Soros, you have no idea what that guy's doing. These people do not tell the world what their actual moves are. They don't. I'll guarantee you that. They don't. They just like screwing with people when they talk. Really, that's really what they do. In the case of Schiff, he's a broker and he's selling books. Now, I think gold is too expensive to buy a lot of that stuff, and I never liked it because if you don't need it for actual industrial applications, I think you can move the price all over the damn place. I really don't like it for that reason. That's one reason I went into palladium more than gold, because palladium, you have to have it. It's far more industrial use as a percentage of its supply than silver even. In the case of palladium, you got 60 to 65% of it going into catalytic converters for cars, and of the rest of it, you probably got about 90% of it going into industrial use, about 5 to 6% going into like jewelry, and the rest of that is investment. I mean, that's like ridiculous. Like, in other words, you just can't move the price. You can't arbitrarily say palladium's going to be worth to go this low because it's just sitting in a vault somewhere. No, that stuff is used everywhere, man. It's used up, and it's like essential. So, that's another thing that silver's got going for it big time. But don't trust these guys, man. They're not necessarily telling you the truth. They're not necessarily telling you the truth. Not at all. I think Faber might be. He's buying more. Later on, he's going to be the guy that's going to be dumping it later on the middle class. What the hell? So am I, though. So am I. Later on, I'll dump the metals on the middle class. That's the way I'll do it. That's exactly what I'll do, because that's when the light bulb's going to go on, They won't touch the stuff. But when it's going way up and they say, oh, look at all the people who made all the money on silver and gold, that's when they'll buy it. And I'll say, good. It's exactly what I'm going to do. But don't trust these guys, man. The devils, man. They didn't make their money by telling everybody in the world what they're going to do. Not in a million years. I'd almost think that Soros is probably playing something like what Faber's playing. He's probably buying a lot of physical gold. That's my guess. I've seen like stuff where there's people that got like gazillions of tons of physical assets and nobody knows about it, including like artwork too. And you don't know about it. I mean, people don't know about it. I mean, it's not on a balance sheet anywhere. It's not recorded anywhere. They don't tell anybody what the hell they got. They don't tell anybody what their plans are. They don't tell them shit. So, when Jim Rogers says this shit, he could be playing games, man. You don't know what the hell is going on with that guy. So, I suspect that there's going to be some things coming out of left field at some point in time, and you're going to see a surprise where it's going up. So, if you're waiting for, like, it's going to go down below 1,000, and you plan to buy some, that's if you plan to buy some, not that you have to buy it if you already got it. If you plan and you're waiting for it to go below 1,000, That might be a bad move, man. Could be. Could be. I don't know. Don't know it for absolutely certain, but I don't trust what Jim Rogers is saying. He's making it sound like the metals are going to be down for the next 2 years. I don't see how. This isn't just like supply and demand like in the old days and everything's going along, like all the governments aren't in debt, like they're not all printing so much money. There's a lot of things going on in the world where things can even erupt with war too. I mean, I think if something happens with Iran, you never know what could happen with even China making a move on something too in the Spratly Islands in the Philippines. You know how World War II started? It didn't start right away. It was slow, wasn't it? And I think that's the situation we're going into. We're going into World War III. And I'm going to tell you right now, gold is one of the best damn things to hold during wartime. And oil. And oil. So, don't necessarily trust what he's saying, man. Just because he's got a lot of money, does that mean he's telling you the absolute truth, what he's doing? He ain't. I'll guarantee he's not.